Ingomwa. West Nile TV. Miyuder Ingomwa. West Nile TV. Miyuder Ingomwa.
Good afternoon, welcome for the Whistle Time, and it is live on West Nile TV. This very edition has a lot with, of course, the UEFA Champions League coming back in action. But of course, leaving that there, let's start with the big stories where we are going to be seeing, of course, why West Nile clubs have failed to, of course, adopt to different types of formations in the region. Of course, if you look at the clubs, they have not got much in, of course, tactically. We did talk about this in the previous days right here. My name is Owen, and of course, I am in here with Oscar, the Brazilian. Oscar, most welcome and good afternoon.
Well, thank you so much. It's going to be a very interesting discussion to me. I've been looking forward to this, especially looking at the coaches who have been in this game for some time, but they have failed to identify with the formation. You only just look at them, you look at their players, you know it is obvious. It's too predictable.
Of course, that's one of the biggest, but of course on our Facebook, you can go like the page, you go to our YouTube, we are streaming live, and for those who are there, you can leave a comment, and on channel 477 on the Start Time decoder, you will be getting us right there. But let's start with this immediately. Now, if you look at different clubs, talk about the clubs that have started before, the ones that are defunct, the ones that have come in, and of course, all the clubs right now are focusing on mostly they use the 4-4-2 formation, and a few coaches who have come in the West Nile. You even see a coach who comes from abroad, let me say outside maybe the region, coming in here, trying to bring in or implementing a new formation, but it doesn't work for him, and he has so much to shift back to the traditional 4-4-2 formation. Why has this come in? Why is it so common in West Nile, including the West Nile coaches who have been in this game for quite a long time?
Well, thank you. This is not only popular in West Nile; it's popular mostly. I think it's now that things are changing, but all over the world, they 4-4-2 flat. I'm talking about that is the right one, because we have 4-4-2 diamond. And we have other various ways of putting it. Others put it as 4-1-1, others put it as 4-5-1, but still, mostly the basics is a 4-4-2. So we're talking about a 4-4-2 flat, where it's too basic, and is one of the ways of starting to coach. That is the most basic that you need to impact on the player. You have the two fullbacks. We are actually blessed in these modern times, we call them fullbacks, but those days we'll call them left backs and right backs. So you'll have somebody who originally, typically the person has to be a left-footed player to play as a number 3. The other one has to be a right-footed player to play as a number 2. Then you have number 4, number 5, where we used to call them Becker. You remember those days? You have there, but then you have a deep line playmaker, as we call it in modern games, but you used to call them a number 6, a destroyer. Somebody, it was perceived that the person has to be big-bodied. It was perceived again, this person has to run a lot. The person has to be a workaholic. Then a number 8, somebody who plays a lot with the ball. A number 7, a number 11, a number 9, and number 10. That was how basic it is. So when you relate that to coaching in West Nile, this is still what is trending, because I have not come across any team, any coach who has come and is implementing his own philosophy, because it is shifting. There's a 4-1-4-1, there's a 4-2-3-1, there's a 4-1-2-1-2 formation. Several others have been invented, but still, it's when you get to West Nile, I think even if you get to these coaches, you ask me about Dudu, I don't think Dudu can come up. He tried the back 3. In the Fufa drum, I don't think it's really worked out well. Haruna Mawa was trying to play a kind of a back 3, but I think it doesn't really add up. to me. So mostly, if you try to take away the two coaches, there are only two that you can differentiate from the rest. But when you try to look at all the coaches, the names that you can really mention, Onama Bosco is playing a flat 4-4-2. With the Adabs, with Aziz Damani, they tried to make it a 4-4-3-3. On paper, it looks easy, that 4-3-3. That on the pitch, it is completely very different. Only if you know how to analyze tactics. They're always playing a flat 4-4-2. You can name any other coaches. Ahmed Borini as well is strike, but it still doesn't shift away from the 4-4-2. You go to, I know of Jeff in Nebi Central. The basic still doesn't change. It still comes to 4-4-2. So basically, it is because implementing this philosophy comes to one, you as a coach challenging yourself. What do I want? How do I want my players to play? And are these players willing? Sometimes we cannot only relate it to the coaches, the players themselves. There are few players who can adapt to play in some philosophies and style of play. For instance, if you try to implement the back three at Ajono FC, what are you going to get? If you try to implement a back three at Ondoparaka United, what are you going to get? If you try to play a smooth 4-3-3, what are you going to get? I think basically most of the coaches who have succeeded as well played a 4-4-2 flat, with the exception of Sir Alex Ferguson, who played a 4-4-2 diamond that really worked out a little well. And they stick to it. It is basic and it is easier to understand. That is why I think it's very common in West Nile.
Do you think it's because one thing, people, just like you say, the tactics are not working for them, but how does a 4-4-2 work? Someone would be asking that. How does a 4-4-2 flat work? How does a 4-4-2 diamond work? Maybe those are some of the things, because it will take you that human brilliance of tactics. That's when you learn that this is how it is. Most of the times we go watch the game, but we will fail to identify which formation is being played. We just say, okay, the players are going on well and other things. So, in a brief maybe note, how does the 4-4-2 formation work? In West Nile, you've seen how it is, of course, brought in there. So, very many would want to know. He's talking about the 4-4-2. How is it working? How is the 4-3-3 working? How is the 4-1-2-1 working? So, let's start from there.
Well, when you get to the 4-4-2 flat, it is a style of formation, just like I said, it's traditional. You need to have a right back, you need to have a left back. Let me just call them a number 2 and a number 3, because if I try to say left back and those full backs, those are the modern ways of trying to actually call them. You just need to have a number 2 and a number 3, and then the number 4 and number 5 literally do not need to be good passers of the ball. They basically need to clear away all the threats that is coming. Any ball that comes, you remember that those famous phrase of away by Karaga. Any ball that comes, you just clear. Now the number 4 is charged with the responsibility of only tight marking the center forward. That's the number 9. Those days, somebody who scores goals only wears shirt number 9. So you make sure that that person is tight marked by the number 4. Number 5 just waits for any ball that is leaking. In case the number 4 is being passed, his role is just to clear off the ball. That's why those days you used to have many incidents of penalties, too many fouls. That's how it used to happen. So players literally in 4-4-2 don't need to be extra talented. It also gets to number 6, where we now call the deep line playmaker. You don't necessarily need to be a talented player. You just need to have the muscle. You need to be a hard worker. You need to work a lot. You're not supposed to be passed easily. When you miss the ball, don't miss the leg. That is how it has to be. Now, the wingers have to be people who run a lot, because you need to cover the width of the pitch. And by then, number 2 and number 3, their role is not to move high up the pitch, just like you see fullbacks overlapping. You see Kyle Walker at Manchester City, you see Trent Alexander-Arnold at Liverpool is overlapping. Those days it used not to be like that. You just, the farthest you can stop is at the center. And you make sure that you tight mark the number 11 and the number 7. They are not supposed to pass at all costs, because when they pass, that is the problem. So the hard work was done literally by the wingers. The number 11 has to be very good on the ball, and he has to be left-footed, a good dribbler, and can as well run a lot. Then likewise the number 7. The number 9's role is just the typical center forward weight in the box. We shall swing in the cross, you will hit. Those days, making play from the midfield and creating those chances, it used not to happen. So you can get to know that somebody is playing that formation when you notice the movement of the fullbacks, the areas covered in the pitch, because in that formation, the people who cover 60% of the pitch is the two center backs, the two in the midfield, number 6 and number 8, number 9 and number 10. They cover 60% of the pitch. Then 40% is covered by number 7, number 11, then number 12, number 2, and number 3. That's how it is. So basic that you don't need to have very talented players. However, it doesn't mean that we never had talented players. We had very good talented players. And in fact, for that formation to succeed, you need individual brilliance more than the team play, more than playing as a unit. It used to be relying on individuals. You have somebody who is very good dribbler, and that is the person who you are going to rely on to score for you, because you know that at one point when he gets the ball, he's going to score. So you don't only need to rely on the team, but that's shifted. Now it is a team play. You can't tell me there's a player at Manchester City who only wants to play and score himself. Pep Guardiola will not have you in his team. His philosophy is we pass the ball, we play it, you position. Position used not to be what we could so much focus on. So basically the 4-3-3, some people have tried to modernize it a bit, 4-1-4-1. Right now, even the back three, the 3-5-2, doesn't need very talented players. You tell me Victor Moses was talented, but he succeeded at Team Chelsea and Antonio Conte.
Okay, a very big one. Still, I want to now come back to this, and it is one of the things that is affecting very big in fact, entire Uganda. If you look here, few coaches have come with such ideas and changed the football style in there. What should be done? What should be done to make sure? Is it because these coaches don't enroll for maybe the current affairs? People feel they are done and they don't need to go back for more learning in there. What should be done to make sure that these new tactics also come into the region and Uganda at large?
It all gets to the individual coaches, your level of ambition. What do you want? How do you want your team to play? The team that you're coaching, how do you want them to play? Then if you notice, maybe like me, my best pick, I would pick a 4-2-3-1. That's the most flexible type of formation that it can achieve anything you want. The speed in transition and the speed and the transition in between formations, you can have it. You can in attack, you can be like in a 3-5-2. In defense, you can make it compact. You can be a 4-5-1. You can transit it into a 4-3-3. So to me, the most flexible type of formation is 4-2-3-1. So that is me. If I want it like this, then I need to now start understanding the basics. How does a 4-2-3-1 style of formation operate? And who are these type of players I can get to fit in this type of formation? How much knowledge do I have? And how long is it going to take me? I think those are the basics that somebody needs. And however, it also gets to your locality, where you are. Do you have the type of players? Because you need equally a talented player. Like in the midfield these days, you need to have a player like Nemanja Matic, very comfortable with the ball, hardly goes for tackles, but he's good at winning the ball. Players like Wilfred Dindi to be for you as a deep lying playmaker. You can get a player like, I used to know that Ibrahim Saddam Juma was a very, very good player. Here in West Nile, I also know Gaddafi Gadino can best fit in that, not as a deep lying playmaker, but a box-to-box midfielder to complement a deep lying playmaker. I can have a player like Choka Julius, who is now with Calvary in the midfield as well. You can have a player like Ibrahim Faizo, and you flank him with the Gaddafi Gadino or Choka Julius, can still work. But still, how many of these players do you have now? So it all gets to the type of players you also have. But it's a very good thing for any coach to make sure you have a style of play that you will stick to. Whether you're losing, how many games you still stick to your formation. Once you start shifting away from originally what you have planned, you'll kill everything. You saw how it was very difficult when Arsene Wenger shifted from the 4-4-2 flat. That transition from 4-4-2, 4-3-3 to 4-2-3-1. What did Arsene Wenger do? Did he win the Premier League? So it is a lot. So it all comes down to the individual players who are willing to learn. If you're not willing to learn, that's why most players succeed in the same. Some others in the same team, they may not succeed. Another coach will come, they will succeed. So it all depends on which style of formation, which style works for which player and for which coach.
Exactly. Now, of course, that is what we really felt first. We needed to give you tactically how, of course, West Nile and, of course, the entire Uganda is doing wrongly and not doing good. But, of course, to give you some of the notifications that Onduparaka Football Club have got 2 players that they have confirmed yesterday, and that is James Jeriako that we did talk about in here in the very show of Whistle Time, and, of course, Aluma Oscar, who, of course, is commonly known as Lele with Arua Soccer Academy. The 2 players have been confirmed on Duparaka players, and we shall be waiting to see how they will be giving us more names in there. We're taking a break. We'll be coming back probably to
maybe
this.
as we do take a break. I think in West Nile there are few in the whole of Uganda there are few. So there are some coaches we can give credit to who have distinctively come up with the style of formation that differentiates them from the others. And I feel that where they are, if we could have 10 or more number of those type of coaches, we would go far.
Who would those be?
Abdallah Mbiri is number 1. When you watch Police FC play, you will really feel, you have a feel that at least you're not very far from watching the English Premier League.
Okay.
When you watch Police play, when you watch team KCC under Mike Mutebi play, by then you really have a feel of this team is not just composed of basic players, but have players who have the basics but are improving every day. They pass the ball well. The transition in between formations is very good. They understand what the coach demands of them. Of course, somebody will also mention the Arua Hill coach. Some people say he's
Mbabazi.
not Mbabazi. He changes formations, but I know that Mbabazi is a strategist. He only gets a working formation when he notices there's a good coach. He really knows how to frustrate his opponents, and he knows how to get the best out of basic players. I think that I can also give him a plus. Waswa Bosa is trying to come up with something. He's yet cooking up, so I can't really name him much. Who are other coaches? I think the others like the Vialis have tried. They've not yet come up, but honestly, the 2 great coaches, maybe plus Mbabazi, are the ones I know.
How about Asaf Mwebaze?
Asaf Mwebaze tried something but did not work out. Why? If you want to know that a coach is good, go to the training grounds and watch. A coach who still goes with 11 against 11, that is a traditional orthodox coach. That is why he failed. His ways of training, he had all the players, the best crop of players at Onduparaka were under Asaf Mwebaze. But how far did he go? Asaf Mwebaze is not one of the most celebrated, I could say. Could be a strategist, but he's not one of those. Maybe another one could be the last season's coach for Maroons, the one who actually lost and he was previously with Maroons. I remember last season. He also coached Moves.
What about Peter Nen?
No, leave alone Peter. Peter Nen is equally a good one. I am still rating. So these are
Kefa Kisala.
Kefa Kisala. What did he do at URA? He was sacked from there because he was with Mbabazi. Went to Bull. Not so much of with Kefa Kisala, but there's this coach. I don't know. I'm forgetting his name. He used to come if he is to get to a game with Onduparaka. His lineup will come in the night. He doesn't believe in this thing of I hold my lineup till the following day. No. I think he's one of those that I would not fail to actually get on board. But all the same, coaching in Uganda is improving, but we are too slow in West Nile.
Before we get off that, of course, you just reminded me of one thing. What about young coaches who are coming up? Who would you give credit to? Because one, I would say Brian Senyundo is doing good.
Yeah, Brian Senyundo is trying his best, and he needs to be proven. We don't need to rule out that a coach is not coming up, because we really need to come up with something new. We were supposed to be not having a feel of the likes of Sam Timbe at this time. Those are very old coaches.
True.
The likes of Leo Adra. These are very old coaches now. There's nothing new they can offer in the game. Like, honestly, with due respect to the teams where they're coaching, honestly, in my opinion, I think in the modern games, such coaches don't succeed.
Okay, that's how exactly we want to give you that. But of course, credit to coaches who are doing good and credit to coaches who are trying so much to develop. I want to say it's all on to reading your books and following up a lot of tutorials online. You can always follow and see how you need to develop different styles. The modern football, it will always give you the best. And just like I said, we're taking a break. We're on channel 477 and at the same time on Twitter and YouTube channel. We are streaming live. Leaving your comment right there to make sure that you get back to us, and we'll be checking out the feedback, and we'll also be getting back to you to see that you get the best out of this TV. It's West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
Welcome back from that break, and I want to say you're still watching Whistle Time on West Nile TV, and my name still remains Owen, and of course Oscar the Brazilian in the studios. Now, well, let's take a move away from here and look at the national team that has traveled. Of course, the Rock, and in that is the netball. They're doing very well in the training sessions. We did see how exactly they kept doing their trainings, and everything looked very, very good for them. But the Rock right now are in South Africa. A couple of things in there everyone is expecting, but of course according to reports coming in there, I did tell you at least we are blessed that we have a representative who of course happens to be one of the persons I work with. I feel very happy because every information from there reaches us instantly. So Oscar, the team is already in South Africa, and the fixtures are out to make sure that the team, the Rock, of course, the Rock Ugandans, could we say the Ugandans, are already right there in South Sudan, in South Africa.
Yeah,
what are we expecting from this? How ready is the team? What lies ahead of this very team of the Rock?
Well, they have already reached South Africa. They've been doing the trainings. The Rock is, for starters, is the nickname for the male national netball team, because we are having a competition in Pretoria, South Africa, that is competed in by male, because netball has been so much associated with the ladies. But in this one, they are playing. They have already switched to South Africa. The opening ceremony is going to be today, and they will kickstart their campaign. But still, I think one of the other things that has been raised was, within a short time, these boys were assembled and they have to go. What is the guarantee? Is there any other? Can they take us further? Can they actually win something for this country? Well, I think when it gets to managing crisis, Uganda has always won a medal for me, a gold medal. Always, they know how to do things within a short period of time. Though the results may not be convincing, but again, I love the organization that they came with this time. Even when it was at a short notice, when the new president just took over, they still said it is very, very good that we really need to have this tournament. But I am glad that the boys are already there. And of course, the fixture that I have shows that Uganda will kickstart with the host, that is South Africa. Very interesting, and we'll be keeping close tabs. But however, the pick for me is, can Uganda really do it even when they just had the time for preparation wasn't enough? Because they always say when you want to be the best, you have to be the best. Yeah. We all know that South Africa is a team that has one of the best facilities, a country that invests a lot in sports, and that is where the challenge would be that Uganda is not so much well facilitated, but still, can they actually be the team that is going to upset South Africa? That is one thing that we're actually looking up to.
Now, of course, a very big one. The preparations were not very enough, and I had a discussion sometime back with one of the people in the team. I was like, how exactly is the team going to, how will they manage this? And of course, our issues of funding here and there, because we have seen crisis, we have seen a lot of drama with the different sports activities that have come in there. And this time round, just like you said, the facilitation bit is one thing that we should be talking about right now. Being in, of course, the media team, how exactly is the team prepared with issues of arrears, with issues of logistics issues, let's say? How do you think, is the team really, have they got any support from the different, let's say from maybe National Council of Sports, from the Federation, to see that this is to take them for all this while?
Well, they got, their budget was 35 billion, not just for the tournament, I think to revive netball in the country. Remember, the roadmap was to have a league that will start from the grassroots. We've always been having a national netball league that's only focused in Central, and this plan is to have it from the grassroots, which would be a good thing for me, for talent identification, for equity and balance, and giving opportunity for the youths to develop is a good thing. But though the money wasn't got all that, but I've not heard anywhere the alarm has not been raised, like just like the ones that you see, Uganda Cranes, you see the guys of FUBA, where Rwanda had to come and pay the hotel bills. General had to come in to give 188 million. I mean, I think this time around we have not had that so much, but still, you never know, anything can still happen. They have not secured all the funding that they needed, and just like in any other sector, we will always have those challenges coming. But my prayer is that we look forward to, if they don't perform, then that will be where they should start from. Take everything positively, come back home in case things doesn't work out, because the more you fail, the more it will inspire you to go and win next time.
Let's talk about the, someone did send me a message asking about how exactly has these people, because we have not been seeing the netball or the rock, the boys play. Where did they get these boys?
Well, most of these boys were got in with institutions like KIU, institutions like KU, institutions like UCU, institutions like police, Maroons. You know, they invest a lot in sports. So most of these boys were got from these institutions. Unfortunately, we don't have institutions here that are investing deeply in sports. I expected Moody University to have had a variety of sporting activities, netball for both for men and for boys and for guys. We should be having baseball, softball, should be even having cricket, should be even having woodball. I expected them. And of course, we also have branches of Bugema, we also have branches of UCU. I expected within West Nile, those institutions were supposed to be forming up. And of course, it comes to, is there any organized entity that is coming to invest and trying to organize a league for these institutions? I think right now that's what is lacking. Maybe it could be a very good idea for an investor like you to look into that. Write a proposal and see how you can get money. But all the same, I think that's where those boys were got from.
Okay, now of course it lies ahead of us to see that we get a very big one in West Nile. We're still very behind in there. What could be done? Because we have few universities in West Nile. If this is the criteria maybe of getting this, what is that West Nile people can do to make sure that they're also part of the rocks in netball? Because we have seen Peace Proscovia, and that is at least the national team with the She Cranes. What about now that the boys category has come out in there? What should be done? Because we have limited universities, apart from maybe University and Bugema.
Well,
UCU.
We may not only look at universities for now. I think we should look at institutions of learning. Royal Comprehensive School of Nursing, we have Kuluva, we have other institutions like NTC. We also have those ones that deal with the agriculture. We also have others that deal with catering. We have the NIMSAs. We have several of them. This is where the investment should go in. Unfortunately for us in West Nile, nurturing of talent and identification has always started from primary and stops there. It gets to post-primary and stops there. So I think there's still a big job for us to do in West Nile.
Don't you think it's one of the biggest things that the team now that under the new president, I'm talking about Chitio Babili, needs to come down and of course educate at the same time, or sensitize people about this on different platforms, or reach down to these institutions to make sure that they start this, because they may not be aware. They may think maybe when we start this, there's nothing much these people will get and it's a wastage of time.
I remember when she came around, she committed herself that she will have to bring netball to the grassroots. And that's why that budget of 35 million came about, because it caters for almost everything. But when we get to this, I don't think we should only limit ourselves to netball. I think all the institutions, even cricket, is not so common, but isn't there a goodwill to have this develop from grassroots? If you also talk of volleyball, we don't have a reliable volleyball league, even within West Nile, even basketball. But yet we have these talents here. So I think it's all for all sporting activities that they should be looking, even the government should be looking at investing. Because not every one of us succeed through sports, through education. There could be somebody out there who is very talented, but not gifted academically. That's why we have Ministry of Education and Sports. We are gifted differently. So not everyone has a guarantee that is going to succeed through going to school. Some people will succeed through hands-on skills, and others earn big money because their talent has actually been what has been selling them.
Of course, it matters where you earn, and that's why sometimes what you take in life matters a lot. What do you want to do? Where do you want to specify yourself? Is that so? I think that's one of the biggest criteria as one could be using in there. But of course, I want to say it's still at the Whistle Time on West Nile TV, and we'll be taking a break a little and come back for that is the UEFA Champions League. Tonight is a very, very big one for you to watch a couple of games, and of course this season it returns with the first game, of course, Young Boys taking on Manchester United. The team is already in Switzerland. We'll be having some discussions, and of course a very big game where Bayern Munich will be playing at Barcelona Football Club. So let's wait and see how exactly they will be doing, but we're coming back with depth analysis on all these games that are going to be live today in the UEFA Champions League. Stay hooked, don't touch that dial.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
Welcome back from that break, and I want to say it's still the Whistle Time on West Nile TV, and probably we have come to this very last edition. But of course, let's get in there. Just like I did tell you, a couple of things will be coming in the UEFA Champions League and the games. But before that, I want us to talk about Arsenal Football Club, who are not there in the UEFA Champions League, not even in the UEFA Europa. It's a very, very big one. Someone would be asking why. When will we watch the leagues that are, of course, in England, and all those are some of the games that you will be seeing now. Let's talk about Arsenal. Arsenal, the last time they won probably the Premier League was way back in 2004 and 2003, 2004, and this has been a very big one. If you look at that year of 2004 up to this current where we are 2021 and 2022 season, they are not really, and they are doing really not well into the
16, 17 years.
17 years around there. So what could have been the biggest challenge of Arsenal this season? I mean, for all these years. Someone, I was watching some clips, others attributed it to ever since they started, they left Highbury to the new stadium that they got in there, which of course took them a lot in there. And if you look at the investment, they have not want to pay or get players of bigger amount of money, even players who earn bigger amount of monies in their team. So could that be one of the problems that have caused Arsenal's failure to win the EPL for around 16 to 17 years?
Well, there are several factors that has led to Arsenal not winning the league. I think with due respect to Arsenal fans, Mose Arsene Wenger has been the most successful manager in the history of Arsenal. But again, he has been a manager who created a lot of issues at Arsenal. The issues start from leaving Highbury to Emirates Stadium. That was the beginning of the downfall for both Arsene Wenger and also Arsenal. The other reason is the takeover from the Stan Kroenkes. They took over, they looked at Arsenal as a business, but not as a club that needed continuity, and that the reward for every club at least is to win. And then, of course, some others also shift to Arsene Wenger himself, how he decided to start dismantling the invincible team. Within 2 years, they were almost not there. But let's start from how the construction of Emirates Stadium affected Arsenal, and up to date, they are struggling. And they are now a team that only competes to be in the top 4, but not a team that competes to win. That, I should say, with some percentage, could be around 60% contributed by the shift from Highbury to Emirates Stadium. It costed Arsenal about 320 million. And remember that those monies were not got cash. So when Arsenal won the Premier League between 2003 and 2004 season, and of course the previous season, 2002-2003, they had lost it narrowly when they lost to Leeds United, courtesy of Mark Viduka's goal. They gifted it to Manchester United. And then in the following season, Arsene Wenger and his team won the Premier League. That was at Tottenham Hotspur. I remember the last game they played when they started celebrating was a game against Tottenham Hotspur. That's when they were declared champions, but they carried on because they wanted to be unbeaten. So if you look at that team, when Arsene Wenger started assembling his team, when he came in 1996, he started assembling his team. Of course, the likes of Van Bronckhorst were leaving, but you find at least Arsene Wenger is having in his mind, who am I going to bring? That's when he started having plans to have the likes of Ashley Cole in his team, plans to have the likes of Lauren Meyer in his team. When the Emmanuel Petit and the team, there was always plans to bring the likes of Gilberto Silva, of course, to continue with the team. There were the likes of Tony Adams. There were plans to have the likes of Sol Campbell to come into the team, the likes of Lauren Meyer, the likes of, apart from Lauren Meyer, the likes of Kolo Toure in the team. But still, when Arsenal won the league, immediately there was that plan the Kroenkes now needed. Why they built Emirates Stadium is because they knew Arsenal had already become a competitive team. But the issue why they wanted to build Emirates Stadium is because they wanted a bigger capacity to make more money. That's now the Stan Kroenkes. It reached a point as accessing Emirates Stadium, I think it was the most expensive in English football. It was the most expensive. Still, people would go in large numbers. So the Stan Kroenkes knew, if we increase the capacity of the stadium, we are going to make a lot of money. Now, to them, because they don't have the passion for football, for them they look at the business aspect. What happened was that even right now, I think the only owner of a club, the owners who actually are passionate and go to attend games, I know of Roman Abramovich. He will not fail to go and watch Chelsea's game. When was the last time you saw Stan Kroenke consistently watching Arsenal's games? So this problem started from there. Arsenal spent a lot of money. So the question could come, how did this money affect Arsenal on the pitch? Now, the Stan Kroenke has now told Arsene Wenger, you will not going to be having funding. You need to sell before you buy. Now, Arsene Wenger started looking at the immediate, what can I do within this? 2 years after, one of the best players, in fact, the unsung hero at Arsenal, Dennis Bergkamp, retired. Now you're looking at who is going to come to replace Dennis Bergkamp. But remember, Chelsea has signed Jose Mourinho. And Jose Mourinho is told Abramovich, I don't want Ronaldinho, I want Didier Drogba. They go in to bring Didier Drogba. I want Ian Robben. I want Mikel Obi, the snatchy from Manchester United. I want Michael Essien. So Chelsea is rebuilding their team. Arsenal is losing prominent players. Manchester United is regrouping. They're bringing the likes of Dimitar Berbatov. They're bringing the likes of Diego Forlan. Failed to impress. They're sending them away. But Arsenal is sending their senior players away. You have the likes of Patrick Vieira left. Team Arsenal went to Juventus. Who was the immediate replacement for Patrick Vieira in that team? The immediate replacement was not Cesc Fabregas, but Abu Dhabi. So tell me the comparison between Abu Dhabi and Patrick Vieira. So that was the beginning of the fall. Ray Parlour left Arsenal to join Middlesbrough. Sol Campbell left Arsenal. Who was the immediate replacement? You look at Johan Joru and Felipe Senderos. Now you see where it is shifting. Thierry Henry left Arsenal to join Barcelona. Who is coming in? Emmanuel Adebayor. Not so bad. You are bringing in from Dynamo Zagreb, Eduardo da Silva is coming in the team. So Arsenal started losing their invincible within 2 years, but Manchester United is adding on 2 players on the same players that they have. The Gary Nevilles are not leaving, the Phil Nevilles are not leaving, only for them to leave later. But still, the problem for Arsenal was created. But when they spent a lot of money to build Emirates, the Arsene Wenger was forced to let go of players so that he can bring in new ones. So there were no senior players. Arsenal have been losing because they could not keep a winning team together.
16, 17 years down the road, don't you think Arsenal has already got the money that they needed?
No,
or they spent?
Right now, on the Emirates Stadium, I think they have completed all that. But again, now over time, it has affected them. That as Arsenal is trying to come to compete, there's really, the level of competition has already gone higher. Liverpool is now a team good enough to win. Chelsea consistently is challenging for titles. Manchester United is challenging for titles. Thaksin Shinawatra took over at Manchester City way back in around 2006, 2007, and of course sold it to the billionaires from Qatar. And then they started bringing in those good coaches. I remember Roberto Mancini was brought. So Manchester City as well is becoming very competitive. Tottenham Hotspur is almost challenging to win the league. So now tell me, where is Arsenal is going to pick up from? Leicester is coming in, and again the market has been spoiled. Gone are the days where Arsene Wenger would go and spot a very good player like Thomas Rosicky from Borussia Dortmund for around 7 million. Can you tell me right now he could cost only 7 million from Borussia Dortmund? Arsene Wenger is going to bring from Olympique Marseille to bring Samir Nasri for around 13 million. Right now, Samir Nasri could have cost even over 80 million. So the market has completely gone, in fact, has been inflated, that Arsenal cannot afford to assemble a good team. They're always forced to sell before they can buy.
The Kroenke needs to style up once again, probably, you could say, for the Arsenal fans, because I've seen them put notice that Arsenal, the Kroenke family needs to get off in there, and everybody is talking about what exactly they need to do. Who is that, of course, billionaire who again is going to take on Arsenal Football Club this season? And maybe this season.
Maybe. But on the same, I think the other thing that has really affected Arsenal, even I think they came close to winning the Premier League. in 2008, 2009 season, the only undoing for them was that 2-all draw against Birmingham City on the 23rd of Feb.
Yes.
2009. Courtesy of, that was the day Theo Walcott scored his first goal. Luckily, he scored a brace. McFadden scored a brace. So Arsenal needed that win so much, and they gave it. They actually lost that game. Now, the pinpointing factor for me is that the urge for Arsene Wenger to start to wanting to build the team around Cesc Fabregas.
Yeah.
When Cesc Fabregas came from Barcelona, the way he was playing, the way he carried the team, the way his passing ability, his way of controlling the game, I think gave Arsene Wenger to think that I need to build my team around Cesc Fabregas. But building that team did not work because today he's bringing Samir Nasri. Tomorrow he's thinking of making money out of Samir Nasri. He has brought in Edmond Adebayo. He wants to sell him to Manchester City because Manchester City has the money and Arsenal needs the money. So when he brought Cesc Fabregas came on board, I think he's one of the best players Arsene Wenger actually spotted. Samir, and that is what made Arsene Wenger to shift from 4-4-2 flat to 4-3-3. Because now he let Lauren Meyer leave to Portsmouth, brought in Emmanuel Eboué, which was a perfect fit for me. Let go of Ashley Cole from Chelsea to Chelsea, brought in William Gallas, which was a good deal for me. And again, he promoted Gael Clichy in that place. William Gallas shifted in central defense with Kolo Toure. In the midfield, instead of retaining Matthew Flamini, lets him leave to AC Milan. Of course, was thinking of promoting Alexander Song alongside Cesc Fabregas, something that he's trying to work. And again, you find Alexander Leb comes into Team Arsenal. He's making his mark because he was a perfect replacement for Freddie Ljungberg. You're letting him leave to Barcelona, though it was him who was trying to push for the move. You let go of Robert Pires, but you bring a very good replacement in Thomas Rosicky. But on the other side, you don't start using Thomas Rosicky. In fact, if he was misusing Thomas Rosicky, he's naturally a wide player, but you want to force him in the midfield. Now you have Emmanuel Adebayo and Van Persie. Before you could even have that team consistently, you let Emmanuel Adebayo leave to Manchester City. Now you have a reliable player in Robin Van Persie. Manchester United comes calling because now they're seeing the level of ambition of Arsenal is not there. What am I going to show after I leave Arsenal? Nothing. I want to win the Premier League. Everyone wants to go and win. They had been very loyal to Team Arsenal. They couldn't do that. So building the team around of Cesc Fabregas was a good thing for Arsenal. But the urge to make money was one of the major undoings for Arsenal because Arsene Wenger didn't want to, but the board said at the end of the day, we are extracting our trial balance. We need to have a profit and loss account so that we can have a very good balance sheet. That is one of the things that really did work out well for us.
Now, of course, a very big one. It will take a little bit of time to see that you get yourself a player or a coach. And, of course, Arsenal, you just talked about Arsenal's Arsene Wenger's move away. That has costed. You're seeing different coaches coming in there. Do we see maybe Arsenal getting a coach like the man Arsene Wenger in the near future to come to make sure that he can adopt to the tradition of Arsenal? Because we thought of Mikel Arteta, but things are not working well for him.
I think one of the things that Arsenal needed to do, they needed to mentor somebody within the system. They tried with Arteta, but I think Freddie Ljungberg, yes, the Permanent Sackers are still there with the junior team. That I don't think see that working. I think Arsenal has been trying to do a complete overhaul. They needed a manager that would continue with the type of the philosophy that Arsene Wenger had actually started. Michael Laudrup would have been a very good pick for me. Remember, Swansea played the best brand of football under Michael Laudrup. He played with Barcelona, played at Real Madrid. Of course, he was somebody who learned a lot from Johan Cruyff. He played the best brand of football. You could compare them to Barcelona because him and Pep Guardiola played under under Cruyff. Could have been a best pick for me, so that they enable the continuity of team Arsenal. But to say if anybody can come right now, I don't think you can have somebody like Arsene Wenger, because he was different in his own class. But maybe you can have somebody better than Arsene Wenger to me. But the underlying factor for me is that at Team Arsenal there has been a lot of laxity caused by Arsene Wenger, because to him he was given all the time to do whatever he wanted. Who would actually know that Arsene Wenger came from a league in Japan? He was from Japanese league. By the time he came, even Sir Alex Ferguson said, I don't know whether he understands our league so well, but he's welcome to the Premier League. But he made his mark because he knew what he wanted. So for right now, for Arsenal to get back to the Invincibles team, I think Arsenal needed a complete takeover from somebody who's going to invest, like Roman Abramovich, and they need to have a kind of overhaul that Manchester City did. They trusted Pep Guardiola, they gave him the money, and they fund him in every transfer. That's why Manchester City is a strong team. The same thing happened at Liverpool, the same thing at Chelsea. So if Arsenal is to succeed, irrespective of which manager they're going to bring, they need to start spending.
And that's how exactly we want to say we ended with Arsenal saga right there. Of course, they will need a lot to make sure that they bounce back on the limelight. And now the UEFA Champions League comes right today, and we are just going to be giving you some of the updates of the games that are going to be right there, including Chelsea against Zenit St. Petersburg will be at 10, and you have, of course, Malmo taking on Juventus. That's another game. Lille takes on Wolfsburg, and you also have Sevilla taking on Salzburg, and Villarreal takes on Atletico Madrid. Manchester United will be, of course, have traveled to Young Boys in Switzerland, and of course Dynamo Kiev takes on Benfica, and a very big game as Barcelona will be welcoming Bayern Munich at Camp Nou. Those are the games that will be coming right today. Let's start with the Bayern Munich game with, of course, Barcelona. Bayern Munich travels to Barcelona, and this time round, if you look on paper, most of the people have given this chance to Bayern Munich, because Messi is not into the squad of Barcelona, and of course everybody, or most of the people have thought it is all about Messi not being there, and that's the reason why you did see also the loss of Juventus has been attributed because Ronaldo is not there. So with all this, how are you seeing this game today in the UEFA Champions League? Of course, if you look at Bayern Munich and Barcelona in their league there, you'll see in the different leagues, they have different styles of play per now under their different coaches.
Well, two managers with two different with the coaches who have actually taken over from the previous coaches. I know RB Leipzig has gotten the services of a Julian Nagelsmann, who actually was with the RB Leipzig, and he has crossed over to Bayern Munich. I think one of the youngest coaches on in the world, and taking over one of the big clubs in the world. And on the other side, Barcelona decided to go for their own their OB, that is Ronald Koeman. But the key point for me, I think people should start looking at clubs beyond individual players. You can't just look at Barcelona and you look at Messi, but the players who have been there and who have fared well, and they left. Ronaldo de Lima was at Barcelona. Very few people only identify him with Real Madrid. He was at Barcelona before he crossed over to Real Madrid. Luis Figo was at Barcelona before. That was, I think, one of the most hurting moves that actually happened, opposed to the one of Van Persie from Manchester United to Arsenal to United. It was Luis Figo from Real Madrid, from Barcelona to Real Madrid. Rivaldo was once in that team. And of course, Pep Guardiola, one of the best playmakers, was in that team. Michael Laudrup was, so the legends who were in that team. So people should start looking at the team where they are. However, if you bring it now, I think players like Dest are not so badly off. They're good players. You look at the likes of Jordi Alba, they're still good players in that team. Also, I know Sergio Busquets is still in that team, and of course the husband of Shakira, Hernan Piqué, is still in that team. Of course, Memphis Depay has also come in. There are people like Frankie De Jong is still in that team. Sadio Kun Aguero is still in that team. I think this team is not so badly off for me. At Bayern Munich, you still have the likes of course, I know Jerome Boateng left. I don't know why Real Madrid went for him. Even Alaba. Alaba actually is the one that went to Real Madrid. But I think in that team that they're still very good players. If you look at the youngsters, Adeyemi is in that team. You look at the likes of Serge Gnabry is in that team. Leroy Sané is in that very team. And pick for me, I think it's going to be a tight contest. But the battle to me is going to be in the tactics that are going to be employed by the manager. Julian Nagelsmann is flexible, but I fancy that in a game like this, he'd want to have much more control of the ball, knowing that he's going to play against a team that has always had a tradition of retaining possession and always enjoying much more of the possession and playing nice brand of football. And I fancy he might go with the back three, of course playing a 3-4-3. That's one of the most flexible for him that he has always been using. Meanwhile, I think it's a very big challenge for Ronald Koeman to try and prove whether he's that coach that can actually take Barcelona far beyond the legacy left by Messi. Other players, including Memphis Depay, this is their time to try and prove something. I will not easily say Barcelona is going to win or lose, or Bayern is going to have an added advantage. But these teams has always had a history, and I can bet that it's upon that history that's where this game is going to be judged.
Thank you so much. If you look at all this, it is one of the biggest game of the night today in the UEFA night. Of course, all the UEFA Champions League night. But of course, everyone still keep calling. Yesterday, you did see Manchester United confirming their squad that has traveled. All the team that played against Newcastle United is going and added in the likes of Elanga and one of the goalkeeper by the names of Kava, who has been also added into that team. Now, the rest are not going to be there. Talk about Antonio Martial. Talk about the likes of Rashford, who are still out. Scott McTominay is out, and of course more of those other names, the Jones, who are not there. Cristiano Ronaldo will be playing for Manchester United once again in his return at Old Trafford. But of course, he is going in for the Champions League. How does that feel for a player like Cristiano Ronaldo still in the Champions League?
It will be a very good feel for him. Remember, with the Juventus, part of the reasons why he was signed from Real Madrid to Juventus, because Juventus had for long actually they want to conquer Europe. They had conquered Italy, but they wanted to conquer Europe, and you needed a player, a reliable centre forward, a reliable player who would score for you week in, week out, and in big stages who always deliver, and that's why they went for Cristiano Ronaldo. Unfortunately, they didn't achieve it last season. It didn't work out well for them, and they have always been losing. Juventus, they had always been losing. They lost to Barcelona in the finals. They lost to Real Madrid in the finals, which wasn't a very, very good thing for them. But again, for Cristiano Ronaldo, he knows that now again he needs to. Remember, he said he's not on a vacation. He wants to prove himself, and I think this is it starts from this game. Now, playing a game, they're playing young boys.
Young boys.
Someone would say he would run riot, but I fancy he will have a good game. I will not want to overrate.
Okay, that's what we had for you for today. The Champions League will be right there for you, and you will, of course, catch up with that. But before we get to this, maybe your parting words to the viewers.
Well, thank you so much. Keep it West Nile TV, and for them, check him Tikaneno, Awiso Time, and Bedukade Mokelu, Lemtugu, Wabin Kendu.
On Star Times channel 477, that's where you catch us live, and of course the Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. We are streaming live. Leaving your comment right there so that you don't miss any. And of course, just tap on the bell. You will get all the notifications on the YouTube channel and on our Facebook. Like it, and for that is for the Twitter, just follow at Wasnal TV. Stay right there and waiting, of course, calmly for the next program that is coming up next.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region. West Nile TV. May you dare ingamwa.